Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I know I am a little bit late to this, but I decided to do kind of like a spoilerish review slash rant slash what I wished I would have seen in Marvel Studios' latest movie, Black Widow. Um, the movie came out last week on Friday, July 9th. Finally, after a year of delay. Heck, finally, after like a long decade of fans begging for a Black Widow movie. This movie has been through a lot to get made. Um, and we're going to discuss that. We're going to see. There's just so much to talk about in regards to this movie. I hear fans here and there on social media and on review sites saying, the movie for Black Widow's story, Natasha Romanoff, particularly speaking, is a bit late. She did, spoiler alert, she did die in the end of, or in Avengers Endgame to get the Soul Stone, so she gave her life up. That was like the end of her story. And now to do this movie, knowing that, you know, I mean, she saved the day and whatnot in her movie, yay, but you know that she's not gonna make it due to the fact of, getting the stones and all that stuff. So it's kind of like it this movie has a lot of problems. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not really gonna go in full review as to like what happens in the movie and whatnot. I feel like I will say this for all the MCU movies, I think that's something that fans and critics and audiences alike should experience, for themselves about what the movie is. Particularly, I think Marvel movies are worth seeing in the theater. I know it was available on Premiere Access on Disney Plus. I went to go to a theater to watch it with some friends. I feel like Marvel movies are something you should enjoy at the theater, which is what Marvel Studios they did like a little video clip back in the month of May saying, see you at the movies, right? And whether they're top tier Marvel movies or second tier Marvel movies or even third tier Marvel movies like The Dark World or Age of Ultron, there's still something worth seeing in a movie theater. So I do think Black Widow does deserve the movie theater experience, but I don't think it's Marvel's best movie. And it's obvious. It's really obviously seen. Like I said, one of the factors is that it's the movie. Her story is a bit late. It's late. Considering what happened in Endgame, she died, and then you see this story. There's the whole meta idea of it. It's a solid movie. I will give it that. Like I said, every Marvel movie, I will admit, is solid. All 24 MCU films, including the Disney Plus shows, are solid. But of course, fans and audiences tend to have one over the other. And I feel like this one is not that top tier one. It's not the crown jewel of the MCU. And I feel like when I think about the movie, when they considering the story that they chose to do, I feel like that was the problem of the movie. I I feel like in terms of Black Widow, I would have liked if they have gone way back to her past. You do get a glimpse, just a glimpse of it at the very beginning. Like I said, this is gonna be some spoilers in here, so you've been warned. I feel like you get a glimpse of it when she's like undercover in the U.S. and the state of Ohio with Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, and then another Black Widow agent, Melina, which is played by Rachel Weisz, and also a young Yelena, which is like her sister in a way. You did get a little bit of that of what their life was like, and then they're taken by Dracoff, and then you see other girls being kidnapped and being trained in the Red Room. But it's kind of like a montage at the opening credit scene. I wish I would have gotten it more fleshed out, and I feel like that's what fans really wanted to see, more fleshed out. I did not want a montage. Um, so the fact that they decided to focus this movie specifically in the MCU timeline in between Civil War and Infinity War, in my opinion, was a mistake. They should have done Black Widow's story before the events of Iron Man 2. That's when they should have done her story. Um, I feel like, again, they should have gone way back to the origins of her story and not just show me glimpses here and there and filling out the missing pieces. No, show me the whole story. She even talks to the main villain Dracoff about her real mother, and he tells her that her mother was an unknown. But you never see that. You never see that scene. So you kind of have to just imagine it yourself. I don't want them telling me, just talk about what an event that happened. I want them to show me the event that happened. So this is what I would have done. If I was the screenwriter slash director of Black Widow, this is how my Black Widow movie would have gone. All right. So, like I said, I would have done all the storyline events before Iron Man 2. So, like I said, I would have gone way back. I would have shown Natasha Romanoff, being born. She's born to a Russian couple, right? Who are her parents, and of course, diving into the comics. I am aware that the MCU may make some changes here and there. They tend to take inspiration from the comics. They don't literally follow it page by page. So again, it's an adaptation. I am aware of that. So they could just show a Russian couple having a child, which is Natasha Romanoff. Something happens, maybe um, they're involved with the Russian mob or something, or the Russian couple is assassinated, whatever it could be. Parents die, and they lose their baby daughter, Natasha Romanoff, into the hands of Dreykov. Now, in regards to the villain Dreykov, they need to have more scenes of him in the storyline. I feel like the problem with the Black Widow movie we got, yeah, they show scenes of him, but not enough to make me fully care about this villain. I thought he was a wasted villain, along with Taskmaster. I am aware that a lot of fans had an issue with Taskmaster. We'll get to that in a little bit. But it was just kind of like, okay, he's the big baddie of the Red Room. He controls the girls, making them into little assassins, and that's it. I don't know. I just feel like I didn't really care about the character. That's all I'm gonna say. I think it would have been more menacing if you, again, don't just show me glimpses, show me the full scene. It would have been more menacing if you see Dreykov and his goons stealing these young girls from the parents, you know? And again, like I said, they do show glimpses of it in the opening credits of the Black Widow movie we got, but not enough. I feel like if you really want to make this character a menacing villain, show more. So, going back to what I would have done, you see Dreykov having his goons kill off Natasha Romanoff's parents, um, and he takes the child, right? He takes the child. Um, Now it's up for debate. You guys could have Natasha Romanoff as a baby or as a 5-year-old girl, whatever it may be, and then you see her being trained in the Red Room with other girls. And I will give the Black Widow movie this. I like the fact that they showed a diverse group of girls, because I know in the comics it's mostly just Russian girls, but I do like that they decided to make the group diverse. So I will give them that Dreykov was after just kidnapping girls left and right across the globe. So I like that they did that. So again, show more of those scenes. And they could show another scene of Dreykov kidnapping a young Yelena. And because he kidnaps both Natasha and Yelena, around the same time maybe, or maybe he kidnaps Natasha first, she's in the Red Room for a while, and then he kidnaps Yelena. Natasha kind of grows an attachment to Yelena in the Red Room, and that's where they become best friends. Since, like we saw in the movie, kind of since childhood, they become very close friends to the point where they view each other as sisters. And I would have liked also if all the Black Widows kind of see each other as sisters. They just call one another like sister. I am aware in the comics they do also reference each other as comrades and whatnot. So it would have been nice to see that. So again, of course, you get young Natasha and Yelena training in the Red Room with the other Black Widows, showing us more of that, showing more of their training. I am aware also in Age of Ultron they show flashbacks of Natasha's past where she was like in a ballet room They should have shown that in this movie, and they didn't. So, again, it was just a glimpse. They should have shown a little more of that. They probably could have shown Natasha, Yelena, and the other Black Widows, doing some ballet here and there, but with a twist. They're actually prepping for their physical training and whatnot. Um, show more of that. Maybe having them go on a first mission as a teenager, stuff like that. And now this is where you introduce other Marvel characters into this movie. One of my biggest complaints about this Black Widow movie is that they should have included the characters of Hawkeye, the Winter Soldier, and Nick Fury. I'm cool with the fact that they had Red Guardian, but I think they could have done more with him. The Red Guardian we got, it was kind of mediocre the way he was handled. I think they could have done better. So again, sorry if my story sounds kind of like out of nowhere or like a little bit random and kind of just jumbled, but I'm just spitting out ideas here, kind of again as to the idea or concept of the story that I would have wanted. So again, you see Natasha, Yelena, and the other Black Widows gain, of course, a little bit older to the point where now you can have Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh come in on screen, right? Now again, this is taking place before the events of Iron Man 2. And I thought to myself, Scarlett Johansson, when she started off as Black Widow, she was like around 26. Now she's around 36. It's been 10 years. She is a beautiful woman. Um, would she need the whole de-aging CGI process? I don't know. I think she looks good for her age. So, I mean, that's up to the directors to decide, I guess. But of course, you want to make her look young, a very young woman, probably in her early 20s. But as of now, in 2021, she's in her late 30s. So, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That's up for you guys to decide and debate. What would you do? Would you de-age her a little bit or just add a little more makeup? It's up to you guys to decide. So aside from that, now you have, of course, Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh on screen now that they're a little bit older. And this is where it gets interesting. Since they are now, younger women, of course, that's where the whole, storyline, I guess you could say, is introduced of the widows, having their reproductive organs being taken out of them. They could show, I guess, the trauma of that. They do again. They talk about it in this Black Widow movie, but Yelena makes it like she talks about it, but with a sarcastic kind of voice. And then you do see glimpses of the surgery in Age of Ultron as a flashback. But I feel like they should have shown the whole like process. Like you see the widows in the waiting room being very nervous and scared, and hearing the screams of other Black Widows. I mean, obviously they're gonna be put to sleep during the surgery, but there's that fear in their eyes of being put in a scary medical room with these doctors that just have a straight face with no compassion whatsoever. These are young women who have been forced into this life. And I feel like they should have shown that so we can feel their fear. So they should have shown that, more, fleshed it out more. So, of course, you see them go through that process. Obviously, they're not gonna show the whole thing on screen, obviously, but again, having that feeling that they're scared to go through this because they have no choice. They have no choice. They if they want to have a family, it's out of the question. They can't. Their life is like basically being controlled by Dreykov. They are forced to be in this red room. So they show that scene, and then another scene is now. This is where I would introduce the Winter Soldier character in the comics. If you are a comic reader, the Winter Soldier has an interesting history with the Black Widow program. He's even trained some of the Black Widows, including Natasha Romanoff. I feel like he should have been in this movie. He should have been in this movie. It was such a huge missed opportunity not to have him in this movie. And it's interesting because Melina, Rachel Weisz's character in the Black Widow movie, talks about how Dreykov mind controls the Black Widows using similar technology as the Winter Soldier program. She literally says that in the movie. And it's like, you're saying this stuff, but again, you're not showing it to me. And it's like, what a missed opportunity to not have the Winter Soldier in this movie. And with Taskmaster being in the one of the villains in Black Widow, a lot of people, I've seen comments from people saying he felt like a cheap Winter Soldier due to the fact that he was like, a stone cold villain, assassin type of guy. Well, girl, Taskmaster was a girl in the movie. I feel like they should have, again, they should. I feel like Winter Soldier should have been involved, not Taskmaster. I feel like Taskmaster should have been saved for another project. I feel like the Winter Soldier should have been in Black Widow, and which is why I believe it should not have taken place after Civil War, because after Civil War, Bucky was healing in Wakanda. They should have, again, they should have done it before the events of Iron Man 2. And that way you still have Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, under the control of Hydra. He still has no idea about his true identity. So he is still a ruthless assassin. So he's being brought in by Dreykov. Maybe Dreykov makes a deal with Hydra or something to have the Winter Soldier train his Black Widows and also get the technology and learn some of the tools and whatnot in regards to mind control. Maybe Dreykov is impressed by Hydra's technology of controlling the Winter Soldier, that he wants to use that on his Black Widows. That would have been an interesting concept. I think they should have gone that route. So you have, of course, Winter Soldier coming in. He's training the Black Widows, and since this is a young woman who's been through a lot, she did lose her reproductive organs, but she probably still has. This is where her first feelings of a crush are coming in. I mean, she is a young woman, so maybe Natasha, maybe Yelena, some of the other Black Widows, see an attraction in Bucky Barnes. I mean, hey, Sebastian Stan, right? And of course, this is where you get the concept from the comics, where Bucky Barnes and Natasha Romanoff do develop a relationship. Now, it doesn't have to be, how can I say it? It doesn't have to be a, like, set, how can I say it? I'm not trying to say like a happily ever after type of romance, or like, oh, they're officially a couple type of thing. Because obviously it would end in tragedy. And this is what I mean by that. So in the comics, I am aware that the officers of the Red Room find out that Bucky and Natasha have a relationship, and they put Bucky back in the ice. They put him back in his stasis, right? And of course, again, doing that traumatizes Natasha Romanoff. And of course, with that happening, with Dreykov and the other Hydra officers in fear of Winter Soldier showing feelings or emotions in terms of romance, whether it's to Natasha or the potential of having romance at all with any woman, probably makes them, afraid of losing control of Bucky, which is why they decided to put him back in stasis and do more of their mind control work, which would motivate Dreykov to even more use mind control on his Black Widows. So that happens, and because of that happening, this is where you get that little Easter egg from Civil War. When Black Widow was fighting Bucky Barnes, she said, "You could at least recognize me." Now this is what I think should happen. Because of what Hydra does to Bucky Barnes, they put him in stasis and they wipe his memories again and again, doing that whole mind control, but more severe. The moment he sees Natasha again, he just does not remember her at all. Like, no memory of her whatsoever. And that's where, of course, the heartbreak comes in. Natasha is now heartbroken. Not only can she now not have a family, because now she lost her reproductive organs, but she even lost her first love, right? I am aware that Natasha Romanoff had a thing for Bruce Banner in Age of Ultron. Not my favorite pairing. I think it felt very forced. A lot of people were wondering if she was going to hook up with Steve Rogers, as to we saw them flirting in the Winter Soldier movie, Captain America Winter Soldier. But again, they could show, everybody has their first crush, their first love, and Bucky Barnes could have been her first crush, her first love, but it ends in a tragedy. He does not remember her because of the whole mind control. So I I feel that would have been very interesting to do. Um, so that would have been very interesting to see them do that. So with that aside, now Hydra has Bucky even more under their control. And of course, now you're diving into more of that psychological fear of Natasha Romanoff. So she would have been very afraid as to what the Red Room is doing. Now, this is where more comes in. Because of this, maybe this is what motivates Natasha to leave the Red Room. Maybe she's trying to convince also Yelena, her best friend, her sister, she sees her as her sister, to leave as well. Maybe Yelena's a little bit afraid to leave. Maybe she doesn't want to leave. Um, but Natasha just feels like she needs to go. Now, this is where the other characters come in. Um, Maybe this is where Shield now comes in with Nick Fury and Hawkeye. Maybe they're trying to track down some of the Black Widows who are responsible for these assassinations attempts. Maybe they're trying to find out, assassination attempts, whether it's from the Winter Soldier going with the Black Widows or just the Black Widows themselves. They're all hot on their trail, and maybe that's where, because Natasha decides to leave, she's now doesn't have, the protective shield, support from the Red Room anymore. That's where Hawkeye and Black Widow cross paths. And of course, Hawkeye has the decision, to end her life here and there or arrest her and give her to Shield. But as we remember in the Avengers movie, when Natasha's talking to Loki, she says that Barton made a different call, and that's when he brings her into Shield. So they could show that. They could show, what made Barton change his mind to, befriend Natasha and not arrest her and just, have Shield take care of her. What was it that convinced Barton, to give her a second chance and allow, to convince Nick Fury that Natasha could probably be a valuable member to Shield. So they could show that. And now, in regards to Taskmaster, this is where I think the Winter Soldier would have fit so perfectly. Maybe Dreykov is very upset about Natasha leaving. Of course, Yelena would feel upset as well due to the fact that her sister left. And maybe this is where Dreykov and Hydra agree to send the Winter Soldier, not Taskmaster. Again, I would have saved Taskmaster for another project. He agrees to send the Winter Soldier to find Natasha and bring her back to the Red Room. Now, also, going back to Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Natasha tells Steve that she did encounter the Winter Soldier somewhere in Odessa or something, and he shot her like right through her stomach, and she has like this bruise from the bullet. And they could have probably showed that. Maybe she and Hawkeye are on a mission. So they probably could show Natasha and Hawkeye on a couple of missions, whether it was in Budapest, right? Which was another complaint that I had in the Black Widow movie. Natasha keeps telling Yelena about her missions with Hawkeye, but she just tells about it. They don't show the flashback. They don't show it. Show me the flashback. Don't just talk about it. Anyway, so maybe they could show her and Hawkeye on a mission, and that's where they encounter the Winter Soldier, who's trying to bring her back to the Red Room. And of course, that's where they're in Odessa, and the bullet goes through Black Widow, and the whole showdown. Maybe that could be the third act scene, whatever. But it could explain all the pieces of how Natasha met Clint Barton, how Natasha ran into the Winter Soldier. That would have checked off everything and would have made it so much more interesting as to how she escaped from the Red Room. Like, show me how she escaped from there. Um, don't just talk about it, show it to me. And use characters that she does have connection to, not only in the comics, but also she makes little statements about it here and there in the movies themselves. I feel like that was such a missed opportunity. Also, I will say this. In regards to Red Guardian, I, if I were to put him in this movie, and if I were to use David Harbour, I am aware that in the comics, if I'm not mistaken, there's like some versions where Natasha Romanoff is engaged to marry Red Guardian, but she kind of has a thing for Winter Soldier instead. Um, I don't know if they should go down that route. I don't want to make it like a love triangle or anything. I feel like they could just have it could just be a comrade kind of thing, no engagement or whatever. Maybe just it would be interesting to see Winter Soldier and Red Guardian working together for, the Russians and Hydra, the Red Room and whatnot. Just like basically having the Russian version of the Avengers. Now you got your Red Guardian there leading the team because he is the Russian version of Captain America. You got Winter Soldier in there. He's like the brute force, not the brute force, but more like the deadly assassin of the team. And of course, you got the Black Widows there to tag along with the Red Guardian and Winter Soldier. I think that would have been more interesting. Maybe Red Guardian could help out Winter Soldier here and there when he trains the Black Widows in the Red Room. That's what I would have done. And then of course maybe in like the whole final showdown, maybe you have Red Guardian, Winter Soldier, and a couple of other Black Widows fighting newly reformed Natasha Romanoff and Shield. I think that would have been such an interesting concept of a movie. I don't know if you guys were able to follow me because I may have been rambling a bit, but that's what I would have liked to have seen. I think that would have made such a better movie. Show me at the very beginning Natasha's real parents, being murdered, and maybe being murdered by Dreykov himself, and um, Dreykov taking her and Yelena to the Red Room. You see Natasha and Yelena growing up together with the other Black Widows in the Red Room training and doing some ballet because it is canon in the comics. They do ballet, and that's how they get their fight moves, learning from ballet. Bring in the Winter Soldier so you could explore more of the whole mind control and that relationship of how Natasha, you know, basically, her first love turns out to be her tragedy, and how the Winter Soldier, because of his brainwashing and mind control, does not remember her at all, to the point where he's hunting her down. Also show me how Nick Fury and Hawkeye find Natasha because she escaped the Red Room. She wants to escape the Red Room to live her own life, and she finds herself a new family under Shield, under the guidance of Shield. They should have shown that, and the fact that they could also show when she is now under the guidance of Shield with Hawkeye and Nick Fury, that could also show Yelena feeling betrayed by her own sister, going for the other side of the team. I feel like they should have shown that. And to end with that Black Widow movie, they could show Nick Fury talking to Natasha Romanoff about her next mission, and that is going to see Tony Stark, which would lead into Iron Man 2. That is the movie they should have gone for. It's such a shame that they didn't. I feel like, yes, we are aware that she dies in Endgame, but if they had gone way back and showed every piece of how she got into the Red Room and how she escaped from the Red Room, it would have made her origin story more clear, and not just having me fit in the pieces here and there. I don't like that they did a montage. I mean, I feel like the opening scene was the only good thing, and it was only like a minute long. It was just a montage, which is a shame. It really is. But that would have been my concept of the movie. Um, so yeah, in terms of Yelena, moving forward, I did like Florence Pugh's performance a lot. In terms of now Yelena coming into the MCU Phase 4, you know, like I said, I do like the end credit scene. Maybe Yelena somehow finds out about Natasha's death and she feels guilty about it. Maybe that I feel like Natasha's death could have probably motivated like Yelena to take down the Red Room or something or whatever. I don't know. I'm just rambling here, but I feel like we could have gotten a better Black Widow movie. So in terms of the characters, I feel like the characters that should have been in this movie, or the characters that I would have kept from the Widow movie that we got, but I would have probably kept, of course, Tasha Romanoff herself, Yelena to introduce her camaraderie and her best friend sisterhood with Yelena. Keep Red Guardian. I think he would have been I think that better utilized though. I would keep him. Melina, Rachel Weisz's character, I felt did nothing for me. Why even have her there? She probably could be one of the scientists working in the Red Room, but that's it. She was just more like a background character. Taskmaster, save him for another project. They shouldn't have not had her in the Black Widow movie. Technically, or her. They should not have had that character in this movie. They should have saved the character for another movie. The character that should have been in place of Taskmaster should have been Winter Soldier. Again, before the events of the Captain America movies, before the events of Iron Man 2. They should have had that version of the Winter Soldier under Hydra's control. They should have had Hawkeye and Nick Fury in this movie as well to show how Natasha ends up in S.H.I.E.L.D. Again, those are just um, my rants, my thoughts, my ideas on this movie. I hope I made sense to you guys in regards to what I said of the movie I would have hoped to have seen. But let me know down in the comments below, what would you have liked to have seen in this Black Widow movie? Did you guys like the movie, or did you guys not like the movie so much? Again, I have heard mixed things about it. I am aware that it opened pretty big the first weekend, but it did kind of drop its second weekend, and I do feel like the movie did have its problems. Such a shame that it could have been a better movie, that it came out too late. But let's hope that with Yelena, I thought she was cool moving forward, that she gets an interesting story. Anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought. Like and subscribe, and as always, take care, guys. Bye.